hope you guys didn't go anywhere. That was the quickest break ever because we got to get the action rolling. Okay, that was just the appetizer, and this is the one for the big money, or really for a spot to still remain in Challengers. Shopify Rebellion Gold versus MORI. And y'all, these are two teams that took us all by surprise, who carved their spot here. They really fought for a chance to be here, and it all comes down to just trying to get that first win going.
It's cool because you're looking at these two rosters where they're both making their own type of like little history for them, right? So for SRG, they're the first the first Game Changers team to go into the VCL, and then you're looking on the side here for MORI. It's not the first Premier team that goes into the VCL, but at least like there's personal history for that organization, for this team to make it to this spot. But now both teams, all of their eyes have been open to be like, holy crap, this is a different step, a different level where they unfortunately haven't been having the best results so far, both of them currently at 0-3. And now it's going to be do or die for either of these teams. Well, for both of these teams, but unfortunately one of them going home. So the pressure is going to continue to be quite strong, although I feel it might be stronger on the side here of SRG because you know what they're able to bring to the table. You know that they're able to win these championships for Game Changers. We know that they could do quite well here in Challengers. Well, the MORI, they're the first time here and they're getting all the experience and just absorbing it. So to play with nothing to lose, sometimes it leans towards that side where, you know, the unsigned team or the MORI Premier team could maybe get that upset.
Yeah, I love that show, with elimination on the line, the fact that it's like completely different storylines when you're looking at both of these rosters, and then having a SRG, you're talking about, the expectations because of Game
Yeah.
Changers championships, success that they've found within the GC circuit. But then not even just that, like SRG has a huge fan base as well. And it felt like
Mhm.
everyone was following their challengers journey. And I think the SRG that we've seen the past couple of weeks really hasn't been anywhere near the ceiling that we've seen from them as well. This is a team that's known for their macro. Mel is a brilliant IGL, and it's just actually insane to see that. They have been a bit competitive in some of those matches, but then also not showing the same face that we've been used to seeing at times too.
And we may be having at least a roster change in terms of who is showing up today. But I know someone who showed up to us for us Vans is President Noya. Okay, everybody rise for the national anthem for President Noya. She knows how to keep her team stable. And it's like I get shivers every time I see her headshot with her shushing the camera. It's not this one. It's the one that sometimes they show in the arena because, yeah, she plays in the arena. But she's a senti that frags.
That's the thing, too, because when you're looking at Noya as President Noya, usually you would think, hey, protect the VIP, protect the president, but she doesn't need any type of protection. Somehow, something has been clicking through the offseason going into this year, but her mechanics or just her reaction on crosshair placement and then micro flicks to get multi-kills has been quite awesome. So super, super scary player to come up against where you have this type of Noya that could have very good lurks, but also at the very same time, when you need to fall back from sites and start retaking, she could actually start being at the forefront. The tip of the spear start entering towards the site for those retakes, because you could count on her to still get first blood on entries for those retake moments and allow for the rest to follow behind and trade off in the very nice fundamentals that SRG are able to do.
And I think we're just getting word that Dodo Nut will not be playing today. So I hope everything is okay and Joa will be stepping in her place, because I think that's gonna be an important change, Ash, and to just address it, because every single one of these players on Shopify Rebellion Gold are pillars. They know each other for a long time, whether on different teams or being on the singular one, and to change such an important piece, we're going to miss Dodo Nut, but and to do this at this point when you're one match away from being relegated.
Yeah, I think that's really tough considering how hot of a prospect was Dodo Nut, how hot of a prospect Dodo Nut was for SR to pick up in the big shoes that were left to fill from Fluorescent. And then you also look towards Joa, who now looking to kind of step in and whatnot, has previously played on the duelist, but was reprising a lot of that initiator role previously as well. It'll be a question of what kind of identity I think that he's able to also bring to the table here for SRG. I think we saw the team really lighting up and coming into their own, giving different opportunities for each player to shine. And I'm curious to see if it's going to be that same kind of story, or if with Joa now into the fray, if that kind of play style might shift a little bit.
Yeah, from what I know, the past 2 months, Joe has been playing Initiator, but does have some history in Duelist. So, wishing Shopify Rebellion Gold the best of luck in this last-minute substitution. But let's look at their opponents. Hakikimori is also looking for their first win. They fought through Premier Vans, and they've been knocked out cold by a lot of the competition and challengers because this is a different level than they're used to. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they develop and if we'll see them again if things don't work out. But this could be winnable now with Dodonut out of the lineup.
Yeah, possibly. It's a huge loss right now to the roster for SRG. And as I do agree with you that this does make this very doable. But at the same time, they sort of make things a little bit more competitive here for Hakikimori when you started moving towards that second week and the third week. It's just unfortunate that the first week that they had to play against was against an M80. And it's oh crap, look at that org. It's such a prestigious theme. For the past like 2 years of challengers, they were at the biggest conversation of the ones being able to qualify and ascend here into partnership. And it's like, oh crap, we got to play against them. And then they got thrashed. But then you're starting to see a little bit more improvements from week after week. They're starting to build a little bit better into those funnies that even Physic was mentioned before. So making sure that your ping pongs are pretty good in terms of those swings, making sure your trades are good. Their approach to the maps are quite decent as well. But through the chaos, it's where it may be, they might be able to step up a little bit more. But now it's going to get very chaotic on the side of SRG, where they might be able to capitalize on just individual duels, actually, that might come into their favor, because you know that they're definitely able to shoot back here against our opponents.
And speaking of duels, we got to look at the duelists. We got to keep it plain and simple. Can your carry actually carry? This is a chance for someone like Bowie to do just that now that Dodonut is not in the picture for SRG, and they have to figure out, is it Joa? Is it someone else taking those duelist duties? But Ash, Bowie has been the one that has to step up big for Hakikimori.
Yeah, I think that we've seen some inconsistent play coming out from Bowie as well. I think a bit of a difficulty considering, just the initiator situation, ensuring that utility is coming out. But Bowie for today has to be at the top of his game. I'm looking for a hot start coming out from him right off of the gate. I think there are moments where we've seen in series maybe a slower start and then later on heating up. But when you're down in this elimination matchup, for the potential final one, there really isn't that chance to try and build up that momentum. You want to start off strong.
Yeah, and definitely if you're looking to the head-to-head against Joa, even when we're looking at Joa's, as you mentioned here, Lemon Q, we played a little bit of Fade in the past, but if you're looking even towards the tier 2, tier 3 level where he was like bugging out with Jake, for example, and other players, he's been flexing a lot of these duelists that could be potentially the good fit here that's been looked at for SRG. You kind of, in a last-minute substitution, can't really change out all your comps unless you're going to put Noya on Jet somehow and bring back the exit days of Noya's start here in North America. But I doubt that should happen. You should still see Joy here being able to play some Raze, some Yoru, and I think even some Neon when they were playing it in that tier 3 tournament. So that said, I feel that this is just like a fit in the boot of being like, good luck. We're going to throw you to the wolves, and we'll see how you're going to do here against Bowie. And then the rest of it, we'll probably use that synergy to try to win those rounds.
I'd be down for the executive order. Put Noya on duelist, okay? Because if you're gonna go out with a bang, go out on your own terms. Go back to the fundies, as we heard in the interview. But let's also compare apples to apples. We kind of just gassed up a Sentinel. Speaking of our president Noya, let's compare the Sentinel on the Hakikimori side of Ghost, who is very visible in game. Not the clutch lord Ash, but someone who tries to contribute some anchoring to the team.
Yeah, I think in last week's matchup there for Hakikimori, I know that it was a close matchup against Ambrosia. I think that we have to give them that kudos that I think the underdogs in that match, they managed to bring it pretty close, both 13-8 losses up against Ambrosia. And when you look at some of the situations that they were put in, I think that it was difficult for Ghost to get super comfortable as in that Sentinel role. Didn't quite have the fragging potential, the firepower on this fracture map. We did see some success like here and there, but when you're on that chamber, you want to be that kind of looming presence where you're going to pose that threat. And he was able to take that space, but numbers wise wasn't quite able to have the impact that you would have kind of hoped. And especially going up against a player like Noya, who is so consistent, I feel, with her ability to bring out that fragging power and those lurk timings. That's a really huge litmus test for this new player.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and even sorry to cut you here, Lemon Kiwi, but it's also
You're
looking
good.
at it's difficult here for Ghost to stay activated here with the team as well when you're looking at what they're trying to pull out on one of their best maps. Well, the ones that I like to play the most, you see them play a lot of Lotus here, but they're playing like double controller with a Clove and an Omen, or when you're playing on Split and you're playing double duelist with a Yoru and a Raze. So it's they're also not only trying to find their footing in challengers, but also at the same time trying to break the mold too and play things that are a little bit unorthodox at the same time. So there is a lot of catch up to do at that point when you're playing within these weeks. So we'll have to see if that's going to get ironed out a little bit more as well and go back to the basics. Again, it's always going back to the basics and see if it works out
Mhm.
and use your agents to. I mean, if you're comparing it to rankers, it's going to be a different story. But in that case, if you're not rankers and you're trying to just get your first dub, then maybe you want to focus more on like, okay, let's go into like what is played the most and how can we get the best out of that.
And the level of trust you have to put in those Sentinels. But these are also
Yeah.
two teams who have scrapped through, let's say, lesser organized play of just whether it's on the Premier side, Game Changers, like a different level than Challengers. And now they have to go up against each other and how they're going to adapt to the shenanigans that could be posed, including, one player that is being changed out for Shopify
Mhm.
Rebellion Gold and how that will affect them. But what won't be affected is at least the maps that they ended up picking. So let's go and tune in and see what was picked, what was banned. Hakiki Mori picked Fracture. It will be SRG starting us off on Split with Pearl as the decider. And looking at this, I feel like Ash, when I look at Split, it's like so important for your duelists to really break into these small sites and to make that space. So a lot of trust goes into Joa or Bowie to make that break in.
Yeah, a lot of trust really does go into that, but this is also a map where we haven't seen Shopify Rebellion Gold actually play on it in an extremely long time.
Mm.
Well, actually, they ran it during the Swiss stage, but aside from that, like that had been one of their promo bans for a while, going into Split. So I'm interested to see what they've been cooking in the background to see what they're actually looking to bring to the table, especially with this new duelist coming in. The last time we saw them, they're running that Deadlock Cypher composition there as well. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to work out for them. They have to be feeling confident considering that it is their pick that we're heading into.
Mm. Mhm. You definitely know, at least looking at SRG with the map pool that you currently see from Split and Fracture, that the helping hand that Effie's recently brought here as an assistant coach to make sure that they could have a little bit more time to like anti-strat or whatnot. There's been a lot of rounds being played from Split and Fracture of Hakiki Mori versus M80 and Ambrosia respectively from Split over to Fracture. And the comps also that we just mentioned before, this Yoru and the Raze that was brought out in the first place by Hakiki Mori could potentially be stopped by this double Senti that was pulled out by SRG on the other side when they're playing a Cypher and a Deadlock. So when you're trying to stop these stalls and aggression, that could be pretty much the winning condition potentially here from SRG if none of these comps change. So I think overall it's just a map veto that allows here for Shopify Rebellion to get a little bit more on the tape against Hakiki Mori and potentially, hopefully win this series. But again, it feels that they're limping going to this game because they lost Dodonut in their roster.
Yeah, and that's your strong leg for sure. I would be limping too without my queen. But and then Hakiki Mori, they've been preparing for this moment. Obviously, this is the most important match of all of Challengers for both of these teams. But you could appreciate the grind that Hakiki Mori have been doing of also competing in Fun Havers tournaments in between weeks. They're incorporating some more Clove and some Vice. Like, how much can you really use that as experimental stage here in Fun Havers? And do you expect to see any Clove and Vice from Hakiki Mori, Ash or Vance?
I think that we've seen a little bit of that Clove be played just like one time on Lotus recently, sorry, up against Blue Otter on the side of Hakiki Mori. And the Vices come out here and there as well. I think a lot of these teams are leaning into it. We saw that on Pearl coming out from them up against Ambrosia. I like the ideas that they had. I think if we manage to take it to that third map, there is that chance where Hikikomori really could try and steal the series away, because their general game plan, I think, on both those maps looked actually pretty good up against Ambrosia, just struggling a little bit more in those scrappy moments. But of course, with these predictions, Lemon, it's just been a sweep across the board. Granted, we were not aware of this last minute change either, though, coming out from Shopify Rebellion Gold with that loss of Dodo Nut. I think we're in for a close series no matter what, though.
This just makes me think that this game could be a 50-50 at this point now. And if they're, you know, if it's going to be difficult for SRG to get the ball rolling with Joa as a last minute addition, then you're going to need like your Noyos of the world to really step up to the plate. You need your Alexis and Mel. You need Mel to have the most pristine calling ever right now for their most important game, because if they lose this one, they're just out of challengers for this split. So that's where it gets a little bit daunting and stressful as an SRG fan, if you're an SRG fan.
Oh, and if Hikikomori knock out SRG from Challengers, they're about to be enemy number one from the entire fan base. And same thing for if SRG do it to Hikikomori. But looking at our agent select, Vance, we were just talking about the Vice and Clove. We saw the Hikikomori for Fun Havers, and the experiment was successful. So they're going to bring it out again.
Definitely seems like it. So it looks like it's going to be fairly fast around Demi and Gui, around that double initiator that comes out of Hikikomori. But there's also a change coming out from SRG. Having a Yoru out with the double initiator on that side is going to be very fun as well. I saw that from Talon going through from APAC, and it allows for you to be very fun with it. So, Ash, I'm going to let you shut me up here before we get into the game.
No, you're good. I think that it's just really cool. Maybe the addition of Joa to this roster was just to add that additional duelist depth over to the side of Shopify Rebellion Gold, because while Dodo Nut, it was incredible, she was also most comfortable typically on just like that Jet and that Raze, and we were moving away from that within the current meta. So a bit more dynamicism coming out from Shopify Rebellion Gold with that. And I'm going to be looking for a lot of trap plays, I think, on the side of Hikikomori on the defense where they're starting out, considering they do have that Teho, that breach that they can pair together. You even add that on with like the vulnerable coming out from Demi there as well on that Clove, and there's just a lot of different ways that they can go about a lot of that map control when Shopify Rebellion are looking at that aggression, and a lot of ways that they can respond with that utility.
Well, let's see if this match really is 50-50. Everyone get your coins ready. And we'll see if our predictions will still be correct or not. Hikikomori versus Shopify Rebellion Gold for the elimination in this best of 3. Let's kick things off and send it over to Keg and Tenric.
From Premier to Game Changers, from 3+ years of experience to your very first team in syndication, in the end, we can all arrive here. One match to determine 16th place in this first split of North American Challengers. Keg, sans Dodo Nut, Shopify Rebellion Gold still look to be in quite a delicate position. And yet they are still so overwhelmingly favored over Hikikomori. Is Hikikomori still severely underrated, or is this just supposed to be?
I mean, look, Hikikomori's journey to get into VCL has been the most unique one we've ever seen, right? And them into this series just continues that streak. They have a map veto that I would say almost entirely goes in their favor. They've banned out Lotus, they banned out Haven, 2 maps that historically Shopify Gold excel on in the international championships because of Mel's calling. Smaller, more condensed maps are a struggle at times for this team. There's a reason why Bind and Split have often been those permabans. It's small, and you require a lot of precise utility and instant swings after for fast executes. That's not really Shopify Gold style. Jawa coming into the mix, very last second to us knowing and finding out. The depth of the Yoru, a very good call from the analyst desk. If you had to replace one player on the team, the newest is Dodo. It's also your duelist. Not the end of the world. But instantly we do see Jawa bring out a fake over towards A site. A lot of Yorus will do this early on attacking sides. Wait for the aggressive push-up outside of B main. Gui removing Mel. Most importantly, Smoke's now gone from Shopify's pistol round. It'll make things a lot more difficult now that Noya's wall is down A site. And the spike is over towards B.
2 Yorus to press, 2 controllers down. And now Shopify settle on B. MORI, nice and stacked, and Bowie now lacking of util, but still overwhelmingly advantageous with
Outside of
positioning
Lexus.
here, can continue to swing. Alexis will end that triple as SRG start making their climb up to site. Garpa is going to be able to stall this with the fault line and will swing on himself to grab the first. Noya is completely boxed out, and Kaiser is able to deal with her as well. Fragmented Shopify Rebellion that Bowie, the star of Hakikimori, can quickly clean up, giving them the pistol.
Yeah, even with I aren't even stun-locked, honestly. With those 2 smokes going down early on, having a B exec with only a few flashes to work with is incredibly difficult for Shopify, but they had almost no other choice. Time was running out, and the rotate to A site that was already shut down early round was not a possibility. Teams will try to linearly funnel their way into the backside of B for that spike plan, but oftentimes through smokes, a player like Bowie in that same position will spray through the smokes and find impact. Call's been made now by Hakikimori. Play into mid. Wait for the aggressive push-up through the TP once more. This TP does not go in the vents, though, as it often does.
Demi able to continue holding it down despite the wide entry from Joa. But Shopify Rebellion have still tried to lay their claim of mid, and Noya's going to try and find another piece of it. Can't get more than one. So Hakikimori able to very quickly circumvent that. And still seeing that proactivity lie in this early defense. You see the hunger in this team, the need to stay in the tournament, the wanting to prove so many doubters wrong. And I think it's easy to say that we can stand among them too, looking at how Hakikimori has fared against these other teams. Unfortunately, they unravel just a little close to the end. Mechanics look spectacular, but the set plays that you've gotten to talk about a little bit about how many teams are able to replicate them these days has started to trip them up in the later bits of the game.
And that really should be the big advantage for Shopify in this series, is that they have more resources with an organization like Shopify. They have their coach. They have, I took the Effie's Academy of Assistant Coachery with that the Effie's put on Twitter just to see, like, okay, well, what can we see out of Shopify in the process? There's a lot that Shopify can work with and have a deep strat book. Hakikimori, more so, they're reactive. And they had to improv a lot of these plays, at least into the mid-round. Bowie instantly swings, unable to find much off that outlaw. A good hold so far from Hakikimori outside of that loss, however. No distance made by Shopify just yet. And no space is being pushed up elsewhere. Nobody's been able to take that mid-space.
Arpa continuing to control the main line. Shopify just making sure it's clean. Ready to exec fully through this wall. It's a one and done. Huge blind, though, from Garpa that allows the swing in from Kaiser, but he's unable to land too much. Ghost still standing on site with the judge. That'll be fun to talk about going forward. But it's still overwhelmingly favored in the bonuses side. Fun attempt at a TP fake from Mel, but Demi's able to catch that. So it'll be a 1v3. Low health for a lot of these players as well. Could catch at least one more if he plays his cards right, but Sarah has the early peek, and they will exhume control over it just a little bit. 3 standing on the bonus.
Great patience out of Shopify. Putting that reset off of the loss of Bowie into the minds of Hakikimori to possibly re-clear B main and even mid-space. Not a lot of info gathering and utility used by Shopify to sell that themselves, instead relying on the timer, and maybe the inexperience of Hakikimori to put that doubt in their minds. And then going for a simple non-heaven post plant execute onto site. Worked out very well for the team. Again, there was a big weapon differential too. Great first round for Shopify to find a round on the board. Once again, mid-execute, often used on anti-eco rounds. It's going to be Bowie once more, hiding in vents. Does not fall for it, though. Jawa falls yet again in mid. Oftentimes, when this happens, Tenrek, teams will have to reset and look for an aggressive peek up out of A or B main. Hakikimori are not in a position to take either of those fights. They did lose Bowie in the trade. They're waiting top heaven for Shopify to reset and re-hit yet again.
Swinging for the sake of dealing with the person that could reopen this fight, so Shopify Rebellion could feel even more confident in their one-and-done push playstyle. We will begin the flood once again. The Vice Util reactively set. Ghost able to stall a little bit for MORI's favor as they stand with Kaiser up in heaven. Shopify Rebellion continuing to not want to make space anywhere else. They understand how powerful they are when together, when coordinated. They understand that's where most of their strengths can only lie, at least at this stage in the Swiss. They'll take over A site with the help of those smokes set up by Mel, as well as their calling to get that spike down early and in front. So MORI are forced to peek or just straight up die. Early holds on the chokes as well. Shopify Rebellion should be able to hold on to this. The question is how many do you let go of along the way?
Stealth drone is out. Does find quite a bit of information outside of screens. Demi takes the first contact. Keep in mind, not dead yet. Available. Demi falls. There's a second chance at life.
Oh, Alexis does catch Demi, so that will be used early on and pushed in tandem with Ghost just to increase the strength of that retake on the site itself, and it'll be more than enough. Garb and Kaiser each getting theirs. No sight lines left available for Shopify Rebellion Gold, and Hakiki will hold on to round 4 with a couple seconds to spare.
And this is a big criticism I had about Shopify when looking back at their footage, is that oftentimes you have, I would say, the best lurker in GC and probably one of the best lurkers in VCL available with Noya, and yet it's pretty rare in VCL that we've seen her be utilized as a very deep lurker. Part of the reason why you would ban a map like Haven against Shopify Gold is because Noya, every single round, will completely dismantle your team off of pushing up B mid alone. You can put all the util in the universe there, she still gets by it. But that's why you ban her out. And Noya's been put on like Killjoy and Viper in this instance in past matches. There isn't a lot of distance being sold up elsewhere on the map. It allows a lot of retake opportunities for a team like Hakiki.
Instead, they're opting to let Joa be the one to do that extension. And they don't want to, in theory, I suppose, set all their chips on a potential lurk and have a 3-man push that could potentially go awry even faster. But at this stage, if you want to let your best flex, let him flex.
Oh, Mel's taking that lurk opportunity now. They've highlighted that error, and now this is great timing off of her.
Early ultimate from Bowie to get all the information on site. That should also get the comm that Mel is not there. So they'll be watching for sure. Team will restack all together now as Bowie is now on site with that outlaw and is able to do a lot of the talking from below while MORI does the easy clearing on the rest. It's now Shopify Rebellion that have to reapproach their spike, and they outright refuse to, as Hakiki get the defuse and the subsequent double frag to end the 5th round with a bang.
Shopify Gold now. Economy slipping away, ult plenty available. A great cycle for that to be used here in this next round. 2 defuses now in a row absolutely leads to a timeout. This is a big opportunity for Shopify Gold. This has been, again, a big strength that this team has been able to take these very early timeouts, assess from a big picture perspective of what's going wrong and fixing it from the ground up. It's won Shopify so many matches in the past. Just now in the VCL territory to make it happen once again. The A executes have looked clean, but the retakes lacking heaven control outside of Mel that last round has been apparent. A huge advantage for Hakiki. And honestly, even though Joa does fall pretty early on, Tenrek, I think contesting mid early as a team has worked very beneficially for Shopify.
I agree.
Just to reduce numbers.
Yeah, you're able to trade so consistently off that. Mel has done a beautiful job of taking care of one, and usually that one is Bowie, the best fragger for Hakiki. If you're able to get some sense of momentum from there, I would think Shopify Rebellion Gold has some semblance of confidence in their ability to take gunfights here. Then you can just snowball your fights from there. But it's just been so disadvantageous every time, and they haven't been able to springboard off the mid pushes. They haven't been able to find clean fights to let their other players extend, and Joa, unfortunately, has just not come up with the first frags enough so far when that extension is on him.
But again, this has been a squad that's been together outside of Joa for so long that they should be able to make up for the lack of fragging off of a very newly installed player. Great TP in, but instantly Joa falls. Bowie goes for the rotate, teleports back to B site. No re-clearing necessary. Even the anti-lurk available off of Demi won't be needed. It's another straight execute towards A site. Bodies have been gone, only Garb with the fall. Hakiki, a 4v4 now for the retake. Alexis has a rolling thunder. This needs to be the ace in the hole for Shopify to get their second round. Caught off guard, Bowie!
And now MORI is able to stampede back down that ramp and just clear everything as a stack. Shopify are completely powerless to stop it. Mel, alone on site, can only get the off angle for 1. And Bowie cracks open 4 to give MORI 5. An absolutely incomprehensibly important round for Hakiki to get going forward in this half.
And I could see the idea being that if you go for a timeout after losing A side 2 rounds in a row, Shopify may pause for a second and maybe sell the idea that this could be a B execute to switch it up. And I think Hakiki now stacking 3 on B are expecting the same thing out of this round. But realistically speaking, there wasn't really a lot of corrections that Shopify made going into that last round. It was more so of a mental reset.
That really feels like what it was meant to be. The playbook is still written the same, and like you said, it runs so deep. But Hakiki their reaction has been so good.
I like
Joel will
this.
now make his push up the middle. Yeah, with this dimensional drift, got a whole lot more power behind it. Will ping out Kaiser as well, force him even farther back with the salvos, and so side is taken over. And this is the crunch that Shopify Rebellion Gold were looking for. Armageddon on top of it. I don't believe so. Showa's on site.
No.
And we're in the clear here. Armageddon on top of the tower, so now MORI, you're going to be forced to fight. Such a deep investment from Shopify Rebellion, so they better keep as many players as possible. Kaiser, good for 1 for 1. And now a Rolling Thunder invested into this as well. The spike has yet to be planted, and Bowie gets 2 before it's over. Hakiki still have the better presence, but not the better health pool. Ghost the only one left standing. Noya holds on to spike. All the power still held by Shopify. 45 seconds, you could do whatever you want, just don't lose it. And she won't. Up to 2 here, but bloody hell, how much do you have to spend on this?
Oh, good Lord, I'm losing years of my life from the stress of this match. But, and the reason why I mentioned Garpa not being spotted is that Shopify only thought 2 players existed in the vicinity of B-site. 1 heaven, maybe 2 at most, and 1 on site itself. That being said, Garpa going invisible allowed that early Rolling Thunder to stall Shopify even more. And Noya luckily did not expel the Viper's pit on the entry of B-main that last round. Still available into this. Aggressive default to mid into this next round. Expecting a big fight. Only Demi available, close to having their own ult, but Bowie. Okay.
Unreal confidence from this guy. I love to see it. This will be the main push from Shopify. Again, it's going to be 1 and done. And meanwhile, Alexis has to deal with all of this Vice util in front of her. They might just have to fully rotate. They have 70 seconds. They can do it, but otherwise, so much work cut out for simply the Vice flush to get this crunch going. But yeah, Ghost can just back out and force Alexis to stay put while the tower takeover happens so that MORI still has that space to crunch back in the later region of the round.
Having so much B-side control as an attacker without the plant going down gets really risky. Luckily, Hakiki have not over-rotated in time. They're still worried about an A execute that doesn't exist. Stealth drones available from Kaiser, but the plant going down now will sell the idea that, yeah, this is a B execute. A lot of re-clear utility available for the defense.
Oh, and we'll just take the fight here. That's proactive of Shopify Rebellion, an admirable way to try to take that power back this round. But Alexis still struggling to win that fight on the main front, and so MORI is just going to take that over as well. Or at least facetiously, Bowie sends over a clone, and they'll actually try to take the fight on the link, which Mel wins handily. MORI now the one that is in the middle of it all, but it's Bowie, the one who's been able to clutch and carry so often for this squad. In the 11th hour, Alexis spotted, but not dealt with. Perfect swings by her. Smoke on top, but that just means you invade. And Shopify Rebellion Gold once again solve the problem just enough.
And that is the timing of a deep, long-lasting friendship and a team that's stuck together for so long. Mel waiting for the last possible opportunity to have Alexis go for that final frag as a distraction measure to make sure Bowie cannot get 2 individual 1v1s. Great round out of a B exec. Shopify finally finding their ground, especially with this early mid pressure, working fairly well in their favor. But now still 2 rounds behind. It's not a round economically in MORI's favor. Stack up and B instead. Leave Vice to her own devices. Haha. But instead, mid's completely clear. They're praying that Shopify will fast take B heaven and drop down into a piranha pit of Hakiki.
Shopify Rebellion trying to squeeze every bit of information they can out of this round where they are allowed that much more freedom. This tower take by Joa, he is going to choreograph this so much more going forward.
Think about this though. If it becomes an A execute, Ghost has has Steel Garden. You maybe like Men in Black erase my mind. Again! Anyways,
everywhere I go, I see his face.
The Steel Garden device. Oh, dude, why?
Okay, all right. We're trolling.
It's like one of those little cactus toys you get for babies when it makes noise. Anyways, back to B side. Vice ult, retake, TLDR.
Salvo again to flush out Demi. Bit heavy on it. So Bowie just gonna go for that swing. Gotta be aggressive here if you're Hikikomori. Gonna go for whatever you can. And they will find a good amount of chip damage along the way. Demi, nice off angle to catch one along the way, but that's all the flak they'll get. I do believe. Let's land that. Okay, good stuff from Shopify Rebellion, keeping it nice and clean. 4 players still standing. And yeah, that push, they learned a lot thanks to that mid invasion. They're able to, I think, wade in the swimming pool a lot more going forward to these next 3 rounds.
Yeah, I think there's a lot less pressure for Shopify to go, and instant exec like we see a lot of VCL teams do on split attack. So hopefully now we can maybe see more heaven control being brought out here. That's a big factor for Hikikomori getting success in these retakes. Shopify are preparing to aim up for another A exec once again. I'm still eyeing Ghosts. Oh, that can shut down all the firepower that Shopify Gold have displayed. Can't use it too early. That's my big fear. Mel has screens control, and that's gigantic for post-plant.
There. Ghost just worried about what's in front, and Mel has already gotten in front of this. One of the fastest lurkers we've seen in Challengers, and that's been a place where other teams have been lacking. But still, the fight on the front lines is not yet finished, and Shopify continues to be split on this site. MORI refusing to take over Heaven. They've had so much more luck when they just bulldoze down the ramp, and that's not where Shopify's looking! Alexis down early, and Demi good for 3 now! Hikikomori forcing Shopify Rebellion out the back door, but that's not even where they're confident in going. Now off the fault line, Demi swings for 4. Can you give him the ace? No. But you can get him close enough. Hikikomori completely stun-lock Shopify Rebellion and gets 6.
And this is round after round now on A takes that Hikikomori can quietly scale down A ramp and take a fight with Shopify, who are just looking at the wrong direction at the wrong time. The one round we saw a very confident A take off of Shopify is when Mel lurked up into Heaven as the site exec had taken place, but even that was confident, but not a winning round for Shopify. Once again, back to A we go. Mel setting up for the aggressive lurk in mid. 3 players of Hikikomori are set up waiting for that lurker. What Shopify don't know is that Demi has been waiting by the brown box aggressive in mid towards the mid round quite a few times, waiting for Mel's presence. At this point, Shopify may still think they can get all the way up in the vents for free if they just wait long enough.
Bowie's still posted. MORI's still condensed, save for Ghost, who is already backed out to the screens. He's been incredibly respectful of these pushes, despite the fact that MORI has dipped a lot of the time on these fights. Opening up on the middle, and Shopify Rebellion, if it's not easy, they're gonna make it easy with this 2-man push. 3 up the ramp, and they will just brute force their way through this fight and win most of it. Kaiser's still standing, though, can play keep away with the util as Demi skirts on back, but Shopify, they have a lot in the kit still, and so they'll be able to also play keep away until they look away, and Demi swings out and grabs one, grabs another on the re-swing. Kaiser with one more from below, and Hikikomori flip this around yet again.
It's a mad dash to the B site. Alexis nowhere near the opportunity of a rolling thunder. Barely any utility to work with, and certainly not full HP. Demi alone, having not dead yet available, can take this aggro fight in a 1v1, come back to life, and maybe aid Kaiser in the 2v1. Not even necessary.
Coming to life on this Clove. Simply due to that confidence, yet again, shining through. It is earning them so much leverage in these openings that Shopify Rebellion are desperately clamoring to control. And in the final round of the half, they will barely have a save for it. Noya has to find a use for this Viper's Pit, which I believe has yet to be used this half. Joa will have his pick of the litter. Up the middle, most likely with the Dimensional Drift, but really depends on where Shopify Rebellion want to get aggressive.
I mean, there just hasn't been an opportunity to really use the pit. I mean, that final 1v1 that Noya had out B-main could have been a great option, but regardless, though, we do see the fast push back in A heaven once again. Hopefully enough of a distraction factor to lead Hikikomori to rotate to A side, but the actual opposite happens. Now pressure starts facing over towards B. Great crossfire set up off of Demi and Garpa towards heaven in sight. This could be, and has to be, the opportunity to Viper's Pit your way in. The drive P, Demi's good for 2 off of that.
Walking into it, and now the not dead yet 2. Garpa's just gonna sit on top of this. We're just gonna get the fight started now. Hikikomori does not care. Joa alone on the site. Yeah, that Dimensional Drift was completely flushed out by 1 Aftershock. And how much good did it do them? Garpa, the one to swing now, good for 1, and MORI can just shuffle the deck again. 8-4 on the defense. This is wildly impressive, Kag.
Oh, but how are we feeling, man? How are we feeling about now swapping sides? Because Hikikomori, they're going to need a lot of coordination to attack more so than the defense. Well, their defense strat was really just retake and hold each side's heaven. It's going to be a lot more nuanced when they swap to the attack. And I think that's a huge opportunity for Shopify to get these rounds back.
Agreed. This is going to be their opening for them to aggress whenever they want to. And if they can find that gap, just like Hikikomori did so easily in their vision during these mid-rounds, then the strategy will once again overtake. And hopefully so will the aim diff, because Hikikomori is keeping up so good with that so far.
I would even say that Hikikomori have been winning in the aim department more so than Shopify. I think Shopify's big advantage has just been the long-time chemistry that these players have. They could bounce off of each other and hold for angles that, and theoretically, Hikikomori should be surpassed in. But time will really tell on this attacking side. Early stealth drone brought out towards orb side. No presence of MORI available. That could be false information given the Shopify, but they don't make a move. Teleport out instead. Jawa setting up for this first initial fight. There's been no lead up in the B main or mid. Oh, look at this fake presence of the TP. That could force Shopify to start putting forces over towards A site. It's the fake exec, and there's no presence mid whatsoever.
A Ghost can very freely take this and chain it with the B attack.
No gate crash available for Shopify either. No fast rotations.
30
Still
seconds
no
left.
lean. Mel hasn't called it just yet. Steps are in, and we're on the rotation back. Noya swings away. 1 from on high. Now the fight begins for Mel. Both controllers now gone and minimal damage done. Save for Bowie and Kaiser, who will take those corners, get that plant down with minimal time to go. Joa here early, can finish off 1. Aftershock to find Kaiser on that low health. And now we're on minimal time. Ghost still holding it down though, and the frags shine through in the bitter end. Another pistol taken by Hikikomori.
What? That was Shopify's round. They had drained the timer of Hikikomori so much, but suddenly, out of nowhere, you blink your eyes and there's 3 gone on the kill feed. Hikikomori's coordination, at least for the starting pistol, is so well prepared for how they want to go for a late execute. Oftentimes, we've seen this already in VCL, teams will crumble under the pressure of their own lack of time to execute.
We're just not seeing that pylon that we're so used to. Shopify Rebellion Gold, a team that's trying to find a new identity. Hikikomori, with this match, they might just shape their own. If this continues. Still the B stack, still the lean towards A for Shopify Rebellion Gold as MORI spreads thin and watches like vultures for what they can find before the real fight starts.
Shopify are playing a very dangerous game, leaving mid completely barren. No utility, no sentinel presence at all to see any information. They're just waiting on these raw lane execs to find any sort of utility. And once again, Bowie, stealth drone, The gate crash, soon the proc, selling this fake over towards B site, but Shopify are aware that this is usually the fake. Smoke goes down. Exactly how the pistol round erupted. This time, Hikikomori giving themselves more time. An added mid presence from Garpa too for the split crunch.
Which looks as strong as ever. So
30
much still in the
seconds
bank after all this dry checking. And Mel is the first to take the contact, standing alone. Good for a couple shots to the body, but nothing doing in this follow-up. Shopify debatably here early again. Noya, beautiful shot on the Sheriff to at least slow this attack post plant down. But MORI is willing to get ahead of the problem and again, just scrap it out before Shopify get a word in edgewise. Perfect round to do it, to get them to double digits before Shopify can find some very worthwhile kills. Joa now the one late to the party and doubtful he'll find one here.
Smaller, more condensed maps where you can take these brazen fights and hope for the best. Again, a team where, frankly, you have to play scrappier is going to benefit much largely from having these 1v1s. Unpredictability should be key. And Hikikomori have done that so well. Shopify are in timeout territory once again. First full rifle round that we see the second half, and they play their cards wrong. It could be one of their only this map.
Window very quickly closing on what is Shopify's choice of map. And you're absolutely right, not even a reset that Shopify so often uses in these moments of potential upset. It's Shopify Rebellion that'll get ahead of the problem here and get their brazen push down A main to grab the first. Rest of the team barreling towards B main. And Mel again, though, undertake first contact as Bowie is slowed down, but is able to manage the one before caught by the Phantom. And that'll open up the entire site for Hikikomori. Ghost blinded out. Noya with the wide swing to save the day. And Alexis with the final frag. 3 stay standing for the bonus, and Shopify finds some semblance of stability.
Such a beautiful read from Shopify. The aggro push up on A, giving the call that, okay, A presence has very minimal people. We won this fight. The Yoru's by himself. This has to be a B exec. The setup was there from Mel. Smoke out B main. I believe you bring out a snake bite. You have Noya top B heaven. You have the paranoia thereafter. I apologize. It was actually Demi that fell first, not Bowie. But regardless, though, you still remove a critical piece of hidden information and reveal it for yourselves of Shopify. Now understanding how MORI like to play these executes, that'll be a big thing for them to have to adapt around. Mid-site, the call now Shopify is expecting to have an aggressive potential. Hikikomori, though, are playing it slow and safe. They default yet again 10 rank.
And they're going to see if they can chip at anything. But
Stealth
Shopify
drone. Won't find anything.
Great clear, though. So much space taken very early on in this that MORI is going to have to re-clear. Shopify, they're not going to get on top of it. Joe is not going to move forward here. And it seems like that's because they think Bowie could have slipped through the cracks. They are right. We have vent control as Hikikomori, and they look to execute the A-crunch off of it. It all comes down to the drop that Joa wins, and MORI might have to change course already.
Oh, but I like this potential re-clear that we could see from Joa's ult. This dimensional drift could be everything past the Viper wall. It's down to Noya's timing off this Viper wall to see whether or not it could stall out the attackers and possibly sacrifice Sarah's life in the peak. Wall's up. Sarah peeks, finds info.
There's one gone. Now has to try and spray through, but Sarah, all she can do is let the salvos go and have a slanted fight that Demi still wins? What?
Demi things.
3v4 on the retake, and it is paltry. Ghost, early peek. He's just going to swing it for a second.
Whoa, 2?
MORI continues to just frag and frag.
Oh.
That was so funny to walk into. That's amazing. They were synchronized crouch peek.
Too bad we didn't get that up close.
That was awesome. But
11
wow,
to
a
5.
6-round guy. That was unreal confidence from Ghost. That was such, I'm so stunned by how great mechanically this team looks right now.
Yeah. And I don't think Hikikomori are really bringing out anything super crazy in a strategic front. They are just playing with the timer so well. And you know, going back to the anti-stratting challenge that Effie's had brought out, that was one major thing. Shopify Gold are very contingent on their utility timings. One thing that Effie's wanted to see was the anti-stratting between both Shopify and Sentinels. You watch Shopify Gold play defense on Pearl, they are reliant on initiative utility. The timing off of Alexis's knife, will that find anything with the KO? No, we push up. Very protocol heavy. And I think this malleability, this idea to do different things per round and switch it up is where Akiki Mori are finding so much more added value in the mid round. They can play around and use this utility that Shopify rely on very much against them.
But it all happens if they decide to push that narrative, if they decide to actually press. And even when they clear, they're trying to let Hakikimori do all of the dirty work so that they have better util trades in the actual fight. And it's just not translating because Hakikimori keep moving around too much.
I see what you mean, but I think the utility that is used by Shopify in the early rounds is very necessary for Hakikimori to get rid of.
I think this pit is perfect. I think this is a great use for
I wasn't even talking about the pit, man. I was talking about the stealth drone. Like, okay, this is used early by Mori. And Joa is out in the open. Those flashes now are gone for a potential post plant.
Now Bui just gonna let this dimensional drift go to invade the site. Do a whole world of clearing. And yeah, Shopify will have to once again scurry on back through the middle.
I'm back.
Good idea of where they could be coming from here, and Bui's just gonna try and get in the fight early. That's the brazenness that Shopify were looking to punish for centuries at this stage. They finally will. Spike still goes down. Players for Hakikimori still well spread. Garpa is ridiculously confident at the moment, but has a world to cycle through as well. Kaiser early hold on Sarah's early life, but now the double swing is enough. Demi holding it down on the site though, and this is where the true fight lies, in that 2v2. Two blinds though that you can just shuffle through. Alexis just has to play better on the swing, and Noya gone early, easy 2v1. Hakikimori continue to just get through every hurdle that is thrown at them.
Let's finish this already.
Just understanding what Shopify want to employ at the start of a round and playing it slow, waiting for those gunfights, that truly has been the story of VCL at this stage, is really just what can you do to cater the most output off of these gigantic fights. Hakikimori surprisingly go for their own timeout. The Viper's Pit was brought out mid-last round by Shopify Gold, no impact. But also the fact that we keep seeing Shopify protect mid might be a reason for Hakikimori to stop for a second and think about what they want to do next with their Armageddon and Steel Garden. Or it could be nerves. They'd be like, whoa, okay, hold on. We're winning map number 1 maybe. Let's just keep our nerves steady and see how we can play this out.
Yeah. Just double checking, I suppose. But seems like they have enough of their plan to where this really, just does feel like one more shake off that you have room to use before the game could end. 7 rounds that they have for themselves. And like you said, they could just unload it all here in that one push that Shopify Rebellion was so desperate to fight for, and now they will have to from a terrible gun disadvantage. Or they could look for this cycle and just play as improvisationally as they have been, which seems to be the tail of the tape. They will start with that early default, a lot of sight line up mid to make sure Shopify Rebellion don't get brazen control, and that's why Temmie's holding it down on A main. Can't do as well though on the whole.
Stealth drone up mid, and defense finds out no defenders are there, but top B, Heaven's a different story. Call now made, possibly to crunch into B. Spike dedicated towards Scuttle, could very well be an opportunity. But Hakikimori, we know how they play split. They definitely like to show face early and then completely reset. You know, there's another team on split who did something similar, and their name was Shopify Gold. They did the same reset on their own attacking side. And unlike Mori, Shopify Gold aren't over-rotating. They're waiting out this reset.
Poison's off. This is gonna be the full push Steel Garden into the B line. Now it's all about continuing to zone out the important places where you could get caught. Alexis first to fall, but she is able to crack one along the way, and that's most of the time of that ultimate gone. Now Mel, the re-swing, aggressive as can be and still good for one, but the rest of the clearing can pretty handily be done here by Hikikimori. They have so much control, and Shopify Rebellion has no way to know of where they could be coming from. It's a 13-5 victory from Hikikimori on SRG's own choice. A devastating start to the match for them.
Hikikimori, I think so far, they've been winning the vetoes handedly. They banned out, I would say, two of the strongest maps that Shopify Gold historically have had on their arsenal. They bring out a map, well, they got brought against a map that's very closed and condensed and great for scrappier gunfights that Hikikimori have their one, I would say, singular advantage in, win out against Shopify's map pick, and now go to a very, very large map that is their map pick. It's almost reversed with the vetoes, because you would think Hikikimori would want to go to Split, and then you would want Shopify to go Fracture, because it's kind of more in line with how they like to direct into fights, a much larger space to operate off of. But it's not. It's switched around.
Is it the scarier story? Is it really the scarier side that Hikikimori is just comfortable everywhere? That straight up might be the case. Is this the redemption arc that we've been waiting to see from a team like this? We'll find out as we go to map 2 after this short break.
Well, it's insanely different. The competition like rose triple. I feel like that we've only been together for like a month, and that's like as soon as Premier's like playoffs started, we won it, and we were just in Challengers, so we only had a month to prepare. Like the level of difficulty is a lot different. Like it's so much harder to get kills, and like the whole entire objective of the game changes. But our first week against M80, it was a lot harder, I would say, because it was nerves and everything. But our second week against Blue Water, I would say that it was a lot closer. And that short amount of span, I think we got a lot better. So this week against Ambrosia, we're hoping to turn that around. Key factors. So the key factors to the team's success is just not making any mistakes, but also just working together as a team and keeping our communications really good, because I feel like that's one of our most lackluster like features as a team. But besides that, we just need to make less mistakes, and I think start winning these games. Well, you can expect from me. My name is Abu2 for some reason, but it was changed to Demi recently. You can expect from me that I'm gonna keep playing. Last week I had a really good game against Blue Water. I'm planning to keep riding momentum. I've had a change in my role a little bit. And then for the team, just don't count us out yet. We're getting a lot better every week. And against Ambrosia, we're hoping to win out because we got that much better in that short amount of time.